I suffer from a debilitating fear of public speaking. I was initially going to start out with a picture of teenage me saying, oh, if she knew that I would be standing here today, she probably would have passed out. Truth be told, this was true of me even 3 years ago. We're standing in front of 6 colleagues that I work with on a regular basis to give a monthly report that would see me sweating and stammering and unable to finish my sentences. That was before I worked on this project, developing the world's first vegan hard-boiled egg. What does it take to do such a project? I think in your mind, potentially, you're thinking of a step from A to Z where you do A and then B and then C. Maybe there's a few iterations. In reality, it looks a little bit more like this. Loops upon loops, you discard ideas. It's all a bit chaotic. So what does this actually have to do with belief in yourself? Well, a project like this is also, or was for me at least, deeply emotional. So, to tell you the story, I've plotted out here the project milestones and overlaid it with my emotions. See, as a scientist, it's not enough just to feel emotions, you also have to document them on a scale from 1 to 10, with 1 being a low emotion and also a low success, here showed within a minus, and the high emotions or a positive success being with the plus. So how did I even get started on this project? Honestly, there was no one else around willing to take it. And in hindsight, I kind of see why. I was fresh out of university, and my boss came up to me and she said, oh, would you like to try it? And I said, yeah, sure, why not? I'll give it a go. Thinking, I'll just start out in the beginning until the real professional could come and take over from me. Product development in the food science or in food works sort of like building a Lego set. You have suppliers who give you bricks, and then you have a manual, which would be a recipe, which is how you then put the bricks together to make the food you want. Suppliers really understand what the bricks are and usually can help you work with you to basically build your ideal, whether it's a house or an airplane, build what you want to achieve. So I put together a workshop with some suppliers and also some colleagues. And yeah, this is what they told me by the end of the workshop. So I was a little bit hurt by that, but I figured, you know what? Challenge accepted. I'm going to go find that unicorn. So I ordered 1 of everything, and I went to my workbench. And I tried, and I tested, and I tried. And I failed some more, and failed some more, and failed some more. After a particularly tough week, I went to my boss and I said, I don't think I can do this. And she said, you'll figure it out. Oh, I was so mad. So mad. I'm asking for advice and you're telling me to figure it out? That's useless. But I figured, well, fine then. I will figure it out. Just watch me. So I went back to my workbench, back to all my failures. But slowly I started to realize that every failed test was actually bringing me closer to my goal. It was teaching me something. And with that change in mindset, I held my first prototype 2 months later in the hand. And I can tell you that feeling, indescribable. I was back down to earth pretty quickly, though. So about a week later, we had a management meeting, and I presented the egg to everybody, room full of CEOs, and I was crushed. All the sweat and tears, all the blood that I'd put into this project, bringing a special unicorn just for them. And it's okay. You see, what I wasn't prepared for is that the success that you really feel deep inside isn't when you're standing in front of a room of CEOs so nervous you can barely get a sentence out. The true belief isn't in the approval of your boss, because actually, my boss was the person that was believing me in that moment when she said, you'll figure it out. And it's also not when you achieve a great milestone. Real belief in yourself is sometimes on a Thursday afternoon, all by yourself, alone at your workbench, when you finally achieve what you've been fighting for. What I also didn't realize is that an okay is actually a glowing review, and we got the go-ahead to continue on in the project. which is where we hit the next hurdle, because there was no machine that could do what I needed it to. So I went to fairs, I cold loads of people. I even went and visited some machine manufacturing sites, and it was just no. But then, kind of quite randomly, I managed to find a consultant who works basically with other companies, and he said, you know what, let's try it. So we went away and did a first test on the machine. It went quite badly, but we were at least heading kind of in the right direction. We'd seen that there's some space here. So we went backwards and forwards, adjusting the recipe, looking at the process, then adjusting the process again, then the recipe, back and forth. After a particularly hard week, this colleague came up to me and said this to me: why don't you just stop trying so hard? You could just stop and tomorrow receive a different project, a project that you'll actually succeed at. And to be honest, it had never really occurred to me. At this point, I was enjoying so much learning and testing and finding out new things all the time that I hadn't even considered stopping, even when I'd made mistakes. And I made quite a few ones, to the point where, one even nearly endangered the whole project, but even then, I was enjoying the process of even taking away then the learnings that you can have when you make a mistake. And I'm very glad I actually never had the idea to stop the project. About 2 months later, we had our first trial production. We finally had the egg in a shape and also a quantity where we could do some consumer testing. So that's exactly what we did. We went away and asked consumers to rate, or basically to tell us how likely or how similar they found the egg to a real egg. Oh. Okay, well, it's not great, but let's not panic. We can still take the people that don't think it's similar, ask them what they think, and maybe move it a little bit more to the other end side. So we went away, we took all their comments, which was also something else. We asked them, okay, what didn't you like about the egg? What would you change? And they said, well, make it like an egg. That's not helpful. But anyway, we went away, we dusted the recipe. There was quite a bit of difference. We swapped out some base ingredients. Went back to the consumers, asked them the same question. Yeah. That's not great. That was a real moment. It was slightly, as you can see, to the end of the project. And basically, we didn't know how to continue. A consumer study takes a lot of money, a lot of time to organize, and we weren't sure that we would even get a different outcome next time. So we basically sat down and said, you know what? We at least have to try. We don't always have to put out everything 100% perfect. We could also just put it out there and see what people think, let them give us feedback. So we did that. We raced ahead, and I think anybody who's ever tried to meet a deadline, the week, 2 or 3 weeks before you get there, absolute chaos. Everything seems to be going wrong. You have hundreds of calls, and nothing seems to be going the way you need it to. And I can tell you quite a few sleepless nights were lost across the whole team. On the 2nd of November last year, the world's first vegan hard-boiled egg hit the shelves. I learned a lot on this project. The egg taught me the importance of taking risks. It also taught me the importance of facing failure, of making mistakes and being able to grow from them. It also taught me to take that challenge and maybe even have a little bit of fun doing it. But most importantly, the egg taught me to believe in myself. It taught me to trust myself, do things that scare me, and despite that fear, stand here in front of you today. And who would have thought an egg could teach you that? Thank you.